Whatever happened to Whitney Houston's only daughter? Most people remember Whitney as America's music icon. But the story of her daughter, Bobbi Kristina Brown, has many chapters that weren't in the headlines. Meet Bobbi Kristina Brown, the only child of music royalty. Born in 1993, she grew up in a world of fame and music. Whitney Houston sold over 200 million records worldwide. Her voice gave us "I Will Always Love You," and her daughter was there for much of that journey. Growing up as the child of two superstars, Whitney and R&B singer Bobbi Brown, meant living in the public eye where every moment was watched, every step followed by cameras. From the outside, it looked like a dream life. A young woman with famous parents, opportunities in entertainment, and a trust fund worth millions. But behind the cameras, a different story was unfolding, one that would end in ways that echo her mother's passing. Today we're looking at Bobbi Kristina's real story, the successes, the challenges, and the facts about what really happened to Whitney Houston's only daughter.
If tomorrow is Judgment Day. Sing, Mom.
Let's start with the positive moments. Because there were many. Bobbi Kristina wasn't just Whitney's daughter. She was her musical partner and closest friend. In 2009, mother and daughter performed together on national TV, singing "My Love Is Your Love." For those few minutes, the world saw pure harmony. Mother and daughter voices blending, showing us what family connection really looks like. This wasn't Bobbi's first time performing. She'd been singing with her mom since childhood, appearing on tracks like Little Drummer Boy. Whitney once said about her daughter, "She encourages me and inspires me. When I look at her eyes and I see myself, I go, okay, I can do this." But Bobbi wasn't just following mom's path. She had her own dreams. In 2012, she landed an acting role on Tyler Perry's TBS show For Better or Worse. This showed she wanted to build her own career in entertainment. The reality show Being Bobbi Brown gave us glimpses into their family life. Sure, it was busy and sometimes chaotic, but you could see the love. Bobbi wasn't just a celebrity kid. She was a daughter who cared deeply about her parents. She also appeared on The Houstons on Our Own, where viewers watched her navigate life after major family changes. Even during difficult times, her strength showed through. But growing up in the spotlight comes with pressures that most of us can't imagine. And those pressures were about to affect the Brown family in unexpected ways.
I'm taking with me.
To understand Bobbi's story, you need to understand her parents' relationship. Whitney Houston and Bobbi Brown met in 1989 at the Soul Train Music Awards. She was already a global superstar. He was the talented performer from New Edition, with his own successful career. They connected and married in July 1992 in a ceremony that made headlines. For Bobbi, born in March 1993, this meant growing up in a house where music and media attention were constant. Her parents' marriage lasted 15 years, but faced challenges, including public scrutiny and personal struggles that played out in the media. Despite the difficulties, Bobbi Brown was a devoted father. Bobbi often appeared with him on Being Bobbi Brown, and their father-daughter connection was clear. He supported her interests and tried to provide stability during turbulent times. But the pressure was enormous. Whitney's demanding career schedule, Bobbi's own professional commitments, and constant media attention created challenges for any family. When her parents divorced in 2007, Bobbi was just 14 years old. Whitney got custody, but the family dynamics had already shifted significantly. Here's what many people don't know. Despite the divorce, Bobbi remained active in Bobbi's life. He continued being present as a father, even as the family went through major transitions. The divorce was finalized, but the family's challenges were far from over. In fact, bigger changes were still ahead.
We'll always love you.
February 11, 2012. The day that changed everything. Whitney Houston was found unresponsive in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, just hours before she was supposed to attend Clive Davis's pre-Grammy party. The woman who gave us some of music's most powerful songs was gone at 48. Her passing was ruled an accidental drowning with heart disease and health-related factors. For 18-year-old Bobbi Kristina, this wasn't just losing a mother, it was losing her closest friend, her musical partner, and her guide. The loss affected her deeply. Days after Whitney's funeral, Bobbi needed medical support at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center because she was having difficulty coping. Family friend Kim Burrell said at the time, "She loves hard. She's going to be okay, and we're going to see to it." But losing Whitney meant more than emotional challenges. Bobbi inherited her mother's entire estate, estimated between $20 to $115 million, according to different sources, through a trust fund. She received 10% at age 21, with more scheduled for ages 25. And suddenly, she wasn't just a grieving teenager. She was one of the wealthiest young women in America. The money couldn't fill the emotional gap though. Friends say Bobbi struggled to find her direction without her mother's guide. She'd post on social media about feeling lost, unable to move past the sadness that followed her everywhere. Whitney's passing also brought someone else into focus in Bobbi's life. A young man who'd been living with their family since he was 12 years old. His name was Nick Gordon, and their relationship was about to become the most discussed part of Bobbi's story. This loss would change everything about how Bobbi saw the world, and unfortunately, it would set her on a path that would end in more family heartache. This is where Bobbi's story takes a turn that divided her family and surprised the public. Nick Gordon came into the Houston family when he was just 12 years old. Whitney took him in, not through formal adoption, but as a family member. For years, he lived with Whitney and Bobbi like a son and brother. Whitney cared for him deeply, and he considered her family. But after Whitney's passing in 2012, Nick and Bobbi's relationship changed from family-like to romantic. This shift concerned Bobbi Brown and other family members who felt it was inappropriate given their family history. In January 2014, Bobbi posted a picture on social media of 2 wedding rings, with the caption suggesting they were married. The family was upset. Bobbi Brown publicly opposed the relationship, and the Houston family largely distanced themselves from both Nick and Bobbi. Nick defended their relationship, telling entertainment media, "Whitney made me promise several times to look after Chrissy. And Mom, I will never break that promise." But the relationship faced challenges from the start. There were concerns about emotional dynamics, financial matters, and lifestyle choices. Friends worried about the situation, especially given Bobbi's grief and substantial inheritance. The family's concerns seemed to be growing. Bobbi, still processing her mother's death, was now in a relationship that many saw as concerning to family members. By 2015, the situation had become tense. There were reports of relationship challenges and financial disagreements, and increasing separation from family support systems. The young woman who once sang alongside her mother was now caught in complicated circumstances. What happened next would prove those family concerns were justified. January 31, 2015. Just 3 years after losing her mother, Bobbi Kristina Brown's life took a difficult turn. That morning, Nick Gordon and a friend found Bobbi unresponsive in a bathtub at her suburban Atlanta home. She wasn't breathing and had no heartbeat. Gordon performed CPR until paramedics arrived, but the situation was serious. The similarities to her mother's passing were impossible to ignore. Both women, found in similar circumstances, both situations that seemed to echo each other across time. Bobbi was rushed to the hospital and placed in a medically induced coma. For nearly 6 months, her family maintained hope, praying for recovery. Bobbi Brown stayed optimistic, saying his daughter was fighting for her life. But medical records later showed complex circumstances. The Fulton County Medical Examiner found various factors were involved. They classified her passing as undetermined, unable to conclude the exact circumstances. On July 26, 2015, which would have been her 23rd birthday, Bobbi Kristina Brown passed away at a hospice facility surrounded by family. The young woman who was supposed to continue Whitney Houston's musical legacy was gone, her life ending far too soon. Bobbi Brown released a statement saying, "Chrissy was and is an angel. I am completely numb at this time. My family must find a way to live with her in spirit and honor her memory." The similarities between mother and daughter's circumstances weren't lost on anyone. Both situations involving medical emergencies, both leaving behind questions that may never be fully answered. So what happened to Whitney Houston's only daughter? The facts show a story of both challenges and love. After Bobbi's passing, her inheritance, the portion she hadn't yet received from Whitney's estate, was distributed according to Whitney's will. The money went to her grandmother Cissy Houston and Whitney's brothers, Gary and Michael Houston. As of 2025, Whitney's estate has grown to about $100 million, managed carefully by the family. But money was never the most important inheritance. The Houston family has worked to preserve both Whitney and Bobbi's memory in meaningful ways. Bobbi Brown established the Bobbi Kristina Serenity House, providing support for families facing relationship difficulties and wellness needs. He channeled his grief into helping others facing similar struggles. Nick Gordon was involved in legal proceedings and was ordered to pay $36 million in damages. He passed away in 2020, never having paid the settlement. The legal matters are resolved, but the healing continued. Bobbi Kristina is buried next to her mother at Fairview Cemetery in New Jersey, together at peace. The Houston Brown story includes both public success and private difficulties. Whitney Houston's musical legacy continues through her recordings, inspiring new generations of singers. Bobbi Kristina's life included both public attention and private experiences. If this story has moved you, let us know in the comments. What's your favorite Whitney Houston song? Share a memory. Let's keep their music alive together. And if you want to explore more stories of music families and their journeys, subscribe and hit that notification bell, because every artist has a story that deserves to be told with care and respect. Behind the headlines were real people, real family bonds, and real challenge. That's the story of what happened to Whitney Houston's only daughter.